Hi, welcome back to Speak Up Africa, where we have conversations that inform, engage, and empower. Today, I have Samuel in the studio, and we want to talk about data. This is a conversation we have been having in different quarters: what is right, what is not right. We just want to have a chat around data privacy, collection of data at the workplace. How safe are we? Samuel,
Yeah,
welcome to my podcast today. Welcome to Speak Up Africa.
thank you.
Tell us who you are.
I'm Samuel Ngoda, the co-founder at Imani Labs Limited. We're a Kenyan-based company, technology company. We do cloud services. We run our own servers. We do our own full-fledged cloud, and we are also engineers. So we do software, and we run an ERP called Koba. Yeah, for SMEs.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, the space you're in is a very interesting yet very important space. And today I want us to really talk about how safe are we at the workplace,
Mhm.
because sometimes you start giving your data right from the doorstep.
Yeah.
You give your biometrics, you have to log in, you have
Mhm.
to sign in, you're constantly giving your information.
Yes.
So as you work in the back end,
Mm. Mm.
when our data is being collected,
Yes.
where is this data taken?
So from the moment you walk into the premise, let me say at the workplace, yeah, like here, you have your CCTVs capturing your every move, yeah, and then you have to sign in maybe at the gate. Some are manual; they write it on the book. There, you exactly know where your data is going because it's going on the book, yeah.
Yeah,
But also there are digital systems, yeah. So they're captured in the digital systems, and um, and all of that is being transmitted to a server somewhere. Yeah, the CCTVs maybe to video recorder somewhere within the office or remotely. Yeah, and once you walk into the office, biometrics. Yeah, so you
yeah,
have to sign in,
yeah,
clock in.
yeah,
Yeah, all of that data is captured. Some stays at the biometric device. Some is transmitted maybe to an ERP like ours for attendance. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
When you were talking, I
Mm.
just remembered a while back. You remember when actually estates and apartments started taking in people's data?
Yes.
At first, I was so skeptical about it. And I remember one time my friend gave like a wrong number off the head.
Mm.
So when we were done, I was like, but why did you do that? And she was of the opinion, but why would I give my
Yeah,
correct
the correct
information?
information.
Until during COVID, when now things started happening in
Yes.
apartments and estates,
Hmm.
that's when we were like, what if you gave the wrong information? Maybe your name is right, your ID number is right, but your phone number is wrong. And we were like, you know what, it can come back biting you.
Yes.
So the data is being collected. How transparent should one be? You
With
know,
the data.
yeah, when giving out their data, and how much should the employers really take from us?
About the issue of the transparency of giving out your data,
Yeah.
there's some collection that you can control, and much of it you can't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because nowadays, especially the advancement in technology and AI and everything, and all these businesses trying to automate, trying to implement new systems, yeah, find new ways of doing things. A lot of that innovation comes from the data that is being collected, yeah. So from that CCTV camera, which you cannot do anything about.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they've given you a notice. They've told you this premise is under surveillance or something, yeah. But what can you do about it at the end of the day, yeah?
Yeah.
From that to to even there are some people, especially in this age, the people who work remotely and everything, yeah,
Yeah.
because work has moved from just
Physical.
being confined in a
Mm.
in a house or an office somewhere
Yeah.
to being remote. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are some people who the workplace is in their home or
Mhm.
in a cafe somewhere. Yeah.
Mhm.
So for them, they have systems that proctor them, that they watch the every move, their clicks, their camera. Are they looking at the camera? Are they looking at the screen? Or have they gone out for how long? You get
Mhm.
some of that you can't control. Yeah. But then there's the data that you can control. Yeah. Which includes the information about yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, about yourself, about your health, about your life basically. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is also requested in our day-to-day life, like your friend, the phone number. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's for me, I see it, maybe it's a good thing that they did not give up their real phone number, because maybe
Why?
they did not know what this guy was going to do with it. Because there are many incidences where this data ends up even in the hands of politicians.
True.
At the end of the day, when people do campaigns, you receive SMSs. Yeah,
Mm.
where does that data come from? Most of it comes from those books that the guardman,
Yeah.
the guard at the gate
The
takes.
other day, I was
Yeah.
having a conversation
Mm.
with a cousin of mine, and there was a joke of, you know how kitambo girls walikuwa wananyima makanga number,
Mm-hmm.
but nowadays, because you're paying by M-Pesa, if they would want to take that number,
Mm.
you're actually willingly giving
Giving
it
them.
to them.
Yes.
But Samuel, so if they give out our information, the numbers we leave at the gate,
Mm.
number one, I think that's wrong, you know,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So this data that is collected, especially at security checks,
Yes.
how should it be guided so that it doesn't land in hands or in places where they're not supposed to?
I think the first thing is we need to move away from the books
Mm.
where the data is collected and you cannot have any control over it. Yeah. Is the guard who has the book, and they can do anything they want with it. They can take photos. They can do everything they
Yeah.
want with it. Yeah. So we need to move from that into automating that space. Yeah. So those access systems. Yeah. People they check in digitally, and these systems then have the ability to control who has access to which information. Yeah.
Mm.
There's some people who can only see maybe the number of people that have clocked in today. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
But they can't see who really. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't see their mobile phone number. They can't see anything. Maybe there are some people who have the ability to to be able now to respond to emergency situations. For them, they can see your phone number. They can be able to call you. They can be able to do a lot of things with the information. Yeah. But also they are guided by certain guidelines or policies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your company, you work on the clouds and let's, in layman's, let's call it the back end of it.
Yes.
So when this information is given out, so there's the individual who is giving out
Mm-hmm.
this information,
Yes.
there's the institution that is receiving
Yes.
and collecting this information,
Mm.
and then there's you guys who own companies where this information is stored,
It's stored. Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Who rightfully owns this information once it's come from the individual
Mm.
clocking in or giving out the information?
Yes.
Who owns this data?
There's some data. Uh, uh, Maybe uh, I'm not a lawyer, but
Mhm.
maybe I can say legally there's some data that is owned by you, the person. Yeah, and that cannot be taken away from you. You have the right to even control how it is shared, how it is, who has access to it, how it is used. Yeah, like your photo, your image.
Yeah.
You get, unless maybe it's a CCTV
Of which I still think
and
there should be laws and guidelines to as to how they should use that image.
the CCTV.
Yeah. No?
Yeah, there should be, there should be, but most of the time for people to resort to using CCTV footage, it's in critical situations. But yeah,
Mm.
so um, what was the question again?
Who owns the
Who owns
data?
the data?
Yeah.
So the person that owns the data by law
Mhm.
is there's some data that you have. Yeah,
Mhm.
like maybe your image. Yeah, your voice. It is yours. Yeah, you have that, and you can control who uses it and for what. Yeah. Then there's some data that the employer has ownership over. Yeah, you get.
Okay.
For example, your attendance records and all of that. You cannot tell them not to use them for the analysis at the end of the day.
Right.
You get.
Yeah.
That is theirs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Biometrics are yours, of course, but the result of that biometric, which is your attendance record, is theirs. Yeah. Then there are some data that is jointly owned or you jointly control. Yeah. And then there is now the place where the data is kept to companies like ours. Yeah.
Mm.
We do not have rights over any of that data. For us is to make sure the servers that are kept are secure enough that this data is not so it is not lost.
Yeah.
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 They're secure, resilient, and redundant. The data is not lost and it can be transmitted in and out at any time.
Great.
Yes.
Samuel, this is a bit of a sensitive issue. In our nation right now, there are so many issues that are coming up. The atrocities that are happening in our society.
Yes.
And partially the end of it has been enabled because higher authorities had access to
Mhm.
people's information and data,
Mm.
which some people have come out and strongly condemned that that is not right.
Mhm.
We really did not sign up for this.
Mhm.
Therefore, it begs the question, what happens when there's a breach in data storage and information? So
Mhm.
if your company, for example,
Yes.
had a leakage of some information,
Mm.
because if it was not legally given out,
Yes. 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 Yes.
that
Yes.
means there was leakage
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
Ideally, what should happen in that case?
I believe the first context was surveillance, and then there's the issue of the leakage. Yeah.
Mhm.
So about the leakage, the responsibility to secure the data at rest. Yeah. At
Mm.
rest means that when it is on our servers, the server itself, yeah, is ours. Yeah.
Mm.
But the responsibility for the ultimate security for the ultimate responsibility for the security of that data lies with the person using that server, unless we're also the ones who are provisioning the particular solution that they're using. I don't know if it makes sense. For
You
example,
can say that again.
we provision we provide this thing people call server, which is
Mhm.
basically a computer. Yeah?
By the way, let's talk about that. What's a server? When we tell people, oh, your data was collected, it's being stored at a server, fungua server, tunataka mfungue server. Tell
Mm.
my speak up guys, what's a server in a layman's
Layman's
understanding?
language.
Yeah.
A server is any computing device that any computing device that that can serve. Any
Okay.
uh maybe I can take that again.
Mm.
So a server is basically a computer, yeah,
Mhm.
that can run applications and is then able to respond to requests to for this to any request to retrieve
Mm.
or input this information.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the clouds you have in your company,
Mm.
what's the longevity of the data that you store? For example, if I contracted you
Mm.
to have, I believe cloud is space, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
to store my data,
Mm.
how long do you give me to have my data with you? Does it have like expiry dates, or it can be as long as?
It can be as long as your account is active. It's up
Oh
to you.
wow.
It's up to you because for us we give the infrastructure.
Mm.
You get.
Yeah.
So we provide the infrastructure. For it's up to you to determine how you use it. Yeah,
Okay.
the data is there. We of course we have costs on how we incur costs on
Mm.
storing it and everything. Yeah, but at the end of the day, as long as your account is active, then you have your data. You have
Okay.
your data, and it's up to you to use it the way you want. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So. Uh, you can go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
We were at
Surveillance and
surveillance
yeah.
and surveillance and
Mm, don't imagine, don't stress about it. We would have just picked it up along the way. We
so
don't need to cut, yeah?
we don't need to get so
Yeah.
so surveillance, yeah.
Mm.
So uh
We were like, who owns the
the data,
data? Yeah. And
yes.
if there's a breach,
Mm.
what really should happen?
Sawa.
Mm.
So kulikuwa na issue ya surveillance na ya access.
Yeah.
Ama
Yeah.
if we lose the data.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first thing is when we lose the data, if data is lost in any way, for the people we do software solutions for,
Mm.
yeah, the policy, yeah, we've not lost any data. Let me just make that clear.
Okay. Okay.
Not lost any data.
Yeah.
But the internal policy is that the first thing is that we do notifications.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do notifications to the particular customer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that this is what has happened. There's been a breach. Most likely, your database has been leaked.
Mm.
You get,
Mm.
and this is what happened. This is how it was accessed. It was accessed from this country. All of that. Yeah. So the first thing is to do that notification to the
Client.
to the customer. Yeah.
Mm.
Of course, that is after securing the particular point of leakage.
Mm.
Yeah, because the ultimate responsibility is to secure that information.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, that's it. And after that, unfortunately, when data leaks, especially in this day and age,
There's no going back.
you cannot do anything about it.
And that brings me to when you were talking, you mentioned how most people have moved to even remote works, and COVID was a good point of change for many, even employers. People actually got to the realization of we can scale down in terms of office space, and people can now work remotely.
Yes, work remotely.
And even locally, the gig economy has really grown because people are working from international companies and they're all doing it locally.
Yes.
And some people are given gadgets that are preset.
Yes.
You know, I was having another conversation where somebody was telling me the gadgets they get from the office, people are not allowed to download streaming and all that. Like literally, there's a way it is conditioned or programmed to only download the softwares that are work related.
Yes.
However, you're constantly being monitored. You know, it's like you're constantly being watched. Whatever you do on that device, the back end of it actually gets to trace and see. Is that allowed?
Is that allowed?
Yeah.
That is company computers.
Yeah.
So your question is that if they're allowed to
monitor, like really monitor your space and what you're doing and how you're doing it, and because I feel like there's a very gray area between these are company policies
Yes.
and this is invasion of privacy. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm working, of course, I'm working from home or from wherever I am working from. And I think I should have the privacy to also do my own things even as I work. But you get, if you're working in such setups, what are the boundaries?
What are the boundaries?
Yeah.
I think it is because the device is, there's a reason why the company has given you the device, first of all. Yeah. Then the primary goal is to keep their data secure. Yeah. So they need to control what you access. Yeah.
Yeah.
First thing, they need to control what you access, what you download. Yeah. What networks you're able to log into. Yeah. And who even is able to access that machine. There are some even who put a key, a USB key, who you get. Yeah. So only that machine can access the network on the other side. Yeah. So it's the reason why that when with that machine is not yours.
Belongs to the company.
To the company. And the reason why they would invest that much into giving you these machines, is because they they need to control the data. Yeah, you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I would say the companies can go to any lengths to control the access to their network, their data, their infrastructure. Yeah, just for them to keep their data secure, to keep
Mm.
themselves secure. If you need to do your own, download FIFA and play it, or or
Yeah. Yeah.
those movies, those football matches, free matches. Yeah, then you better do it from another machine.
Mm-hmm.
That, yeah, because it is very critical. We've had cases where we do consultancy for companies here, and you find a big corporate has been hit by a ransomware attack. When you investigate, it is it is something so small that has led to a big loss. Yeah, and here you're talking about someone's network being hit so hard, they lose their information, they lose, even some lose even their backups.
Mm.
You get.
Yeah.
So basically, you're resetting the company to zero. So it's very critical for the employees to respect that and to know that the aim of the company is not really to sa- to 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 monitor you
Mm-hmm.
or to track your every move. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some who do that, especially for salespeople,
Yeah.
but like on the mobile phones and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the primary goal is for them to secure this data that they hold so dearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, you've brought in a different perspective that I had not thought about. Actually, when the devices are owned and monitored by the organization is to keep their information safe.
Yes.
All right.
Mm.
And just to ensure that there are no instances where there's an outsider intruding into their um
Into the, yeah.
information and data just because somebody used a different link or whatever.
Yes.
But let me bring you back to now what you've said last.
Mm.
Some organizations actually really use this to monitor you.
Yes.
You're at the workplace, it's like you are constantly being monitored.
Monitored. Yeah.
Top of mind, I don't know, because I don't think the contracts actually do say that,
Mm.
that we will be monitoring you for as long as this device is on you.
Yes.
Is it right? Because that is now my space, that is my information, that is my data.
Mm.
And I think that is the borderline that has not really been defined in this modern age,
Yes.
where now you get an employer, this is sort of unnecessary pressure being imposed to the employees.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
are there laws, are there regulations? And if someone feels like, you know what, I think you've infringed in my privacy,
Mm.
just because I'm using an organization's device doesn't mean you should cross the
That
line.
line.
You
Yeah.
get what I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So, are there instances you've experienced where that has happened?
Yeah. We've had, of course, there are laws. There's the Data Protection Act,
Mm-hmm.
which we have to comply with. Yeah. At the end of the day, we, for example, right now on the side of the business systems, the COBA that we run, we get customer requests to add features. Yeah. Some of these features are basically for surveillance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't act on those type of requests
Mm-hmm.
because we also have to maintain compliance with that. Yeah. For example, there are some people who who request that if I want my salesperson, when they wake up, I'm able to know. When they leave the house, I'm able to know. At this moment, at this time, lunchtime, where have they gone? You get all of all of that and giving them a report at the end of the day. We can do it as software engineers, yeah, at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day. But we have, I think there are limits,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's company phone, company computer, I think there are other ways to get productivity out of people
Mm.
rather than monitoring them like that. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
that is because you even know when someone is going to the toilet, it is too much.
Yeah.
You get.
And I think for you, what you're saying is you choose to uphold ethnic values even
I
for
think,
your
yeah.
organization. But Samuel, not everyone is like you,
Yes.
you know.
Mm.
And I keep on insisting that Speak Up Africa, we have conversations that help inform you and empower you, you know.
Mm.
Maybe there are other software developers that will be contracted just to cross those lines and push those boundaries. I think ethically that is not right.
Yes.
So from your point of view, for example, I realize that that has been done to me, and I'm like, I think morally with ethic boundaries that has been crossed. What should I do first? And then, okay, what should I do first?
What should you do first?
Yeah.
If you know how they've been um, monitoring you or
Mm-hmm.
surveilling you, yeah, you first need to get rid of that avenue of surveillance. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe if it's a phone or something. Although some would involve maybe you quitting that that job. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's up to you to decide if you can handle it or quit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is you can lodge a complaint, especially if it is personal data. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because there's some data that you have control over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as as we said earlier. Yeah, there's a lot of this data that you have control over, and you should be the one who controls
Mm-hmm.
how it is used. Yeah, on the other side, who has access to it, and what
Do with it.
they can do with it. Yeah. On the employer side, yeah, I believe that there are many ways to get productivity out of staff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
other than that that going to the extreme levels
Mm.
of
Monitoring you. Yeah.
monitoring you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that there are some companies whenever you are signing up on the employment contract, they tell you outrightly, even on the interview, they tell you for you to work here, your machine needs to be proctored. You need to have a keylogger, everything. Yeah, they tell you that
Mm-hmm.
outrightly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to you to
Which is a
choose.
good thing,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's up to you to choose because maybe they are paying you per hour. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to make sure that during those 8 hours that they're paying you, yeah, you've been on the machine doing work.
There's value for
Yeah,
money
there's value
when
for
you're
money.
actually being paid. That's okay and quite interesting.
Mm.
A thought has just come to mind. Um, if that has not been mentioned in
Yes,
my contract
yes.
as I am getting employed to this institution,
Mm.
is there any way that I can ensure or look out for to see if my data is being tracked or if it is being taken up by these organizations? Are there like softwares? Are there how is the best way for me to protect myself?
To protect yourself.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Um, is there software? No, not really that I know of. For you to protect it. Okay, maybe VPN.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe VPN. But at the end of the day, it will still surveillance works. Yeah,
Yeah.
whether with VPN or not. Yeah. Uh, but maybe with VPN you're then able to to regulate or mitigate
Mm-hmm.
some sort of surveillance or tracking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, the best way is just to know that this is how you're being surveilled, and yeah, just approaching them and taking action. But most of the time, you won't even know unless
It's actually almost unnoticeable.
yes, and most of the time you can't even know. Even right now, I think we're being monitored by 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 on our maybe our phones. Yeah, they're monitoring us. If you say, "Hey Google," how has it known that you said, "Hey Google"?
Because you've enabled the
It
sound
it it
recognition.
must have been listening. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
so. it is still it's still monitoring what we are saying.
Yeah.
You get?
Yeah.
So the question is just how far is
Is
it
should
going?
it be taken?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I always feel like technology has really come to make a big difference
Mm,
and bring so much change.
mm,
But to whom much is given, much is expected. There's also so much at risk and at stake
mm,
with especially our information.
yes.
You mentioned about the Data Act.
Yes.
Yeah. Are there some laws that are there that employees can be protected with? Are there laws that have been put in place, and what are these laws that employees can actually use and feel protected by at the workplace?
I think in the 2019 Act, data
Mm-hmm.
protection, actually came in to fill a huge gap
Mm.
because previously there was no framework for employees even to gain recourse or something. Yeah. Uh, right now, data protection in itself, yeah, has has made huge strides. Yeah,
Mm.
in terms of ensuring that the employees know the right they have over their data. Yeah, you can see even nowadays you take you take a photo of stuff to post it online. You've not signed any agreement.
There's
It,
no
it
consent.
it does not consent. You can bring issues. You get.
Yeah.
So they need to consent to this. They know that they need to consent to this information, and it provides recourse. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. In case even because previously stuff could be photographed, put on marketing materials and a lot
Mm.
of things,
Yeah.
even without maybe being paid and everything. Yeah. But
Yeah.
nowadays you see a lot of consent, a lot of maybe people being compensated extra for
Mm.
this for
Mm.
these things. Yeah. So the Data Protection Act provides that recourse for for people, not
Okay.
only employees but also employers.
Employers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of the times people really look at the end that serves the employees and not really think about also the employer's information
Mm.
being at stake.
Be-
So
mm.
yeah, sorry.
Because the other thing about data protection, actually, the biggest breaches are caused by a human error.
Mm-hmm.
That is when staff do not know about protection information. Yeah, and they leak it. They leak it knowingly. Maybe they send unknowingly or knowingly.
Mm.
They send payroll to someone. They send contract on Twitter. Yeah, you get
Yeah.
no Twitter on X.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they send they share a contact on X. Yeah, they share photos of a meeting. Yeah, on some social media platform. Yeah,
Mm.
uh, that is also breach on the side of the employee
Yeah.
or yeah. Yeah, the other yeah. So the other thing is they do not many of them do not have awareness
True.
even on
I
how
was actually coming to that point. Yeah.
this data is leaking. Yeah,
Mm.
some of so they need to be some of these measures for like you are saying computers are put in a domain and they're locked. They are not able to download some software.
Mm-hmm.
Those measures have to be taken.
Mm.
Yeah, in order because this guy does not know.
Mm.
Again,
Yeah.
yeah. So and you cannot teach them. Yeah. What do? You have to implement measures. Yeah, that would actually control that automatically.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Let me tell you from a very personal point of view, I
Mm.
think it's up until recently when I gained interest in tech, and now tech brought me to data.
Yes.
And through the different conversations, for example, this conversation that we're having now, I've gained so much knowledge and enlightenment. And it had me thinking data, I mean, like general and basic knowledge should be introduced in the marketplace. You see, the way companies are championing for soft skills development, public
Mm.
speaking,
Mm.
team building, and all that.
Yes.
So, for you, where you sit, do you think it's an important skill or exposure to information that should be taken up, especially by big corporates, just to ensure that there's an understanding of the people that walk into their organization of number one, what their rights are, and also how to protect themselves and also the organization. Is it something we should pick up?
It is actually the number one point of action
Mm,
in terms of ensuring that staff can protect their own information, or an organization can protect their information.
mm,
It is critical. And I wish, as you've said, it should be done this education, because times have changed.
true.
Right now, that is you are sharing TikToks
Mm,
every day. Yeah, you get.
yeah,
You are sharing. You are sharing your information. Your data is being tracked even as you drive or walk.
yeah,
Yeah, you can pull your history, or the history of your travels at the end
yeah,
of the month. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, this the knowledge of how to protect yourself,
Mm.
and how this data is being used needs to be introduced even in school, not
Oh,
only
wow.
for
The
for
marketplace.
for the marketplace, but also in school, so that everyone knows. Yeah, this is how technology works. This is what AI is, because AI is basically just it's basically a lot of data
Mm-hmm.
being cross-referenced and inferenced. Yeah, just data.
You actually feed so much of your data to AI for it to generate what you think
Yes,
is solving the problem for you. You're
exactly.
right.
It is sure it has a mind that it
Mm,
thinks it's your information actually, that is just mathematically being cross-referenced and being put together, and
mm,
you get, yeah,
yeah,
in a layman's term. So
yeah.
data is everything.
Mm,
It is the new oil. So it needs the knowledge. It needs to be input in the to the employees
mm-hmm,
and employers, and also even at the basic level in
mm,
school.
mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah, it's
You're
very
right,
important.
because funny how right now, like in primary school
Mm.
and even lower primary levels, kids already have phones,
Yes.
you know, and they're exposed to this world where not so much knowledge about these protections are being said.
Mm.
And therefore, from as young as they are,
Yes.
taking the pictures, recording the videos, and just the way you're saying, your data is literally being tracked all the way in everything that you do.
Yes.
And I think one of the episodes we will have is just around data protection on kids, school going kids in high by the time in this day and age, by the time you're getting to high school, you're so exposed to social media
Mm.
and tech that you're basically exposed. So I think I agree with you that it should even be incorporated in the school curriculum and not wait for people to come to the marketplace.
Mm.
Quick question. Why tech for you? Why did you incline towards tech and not anything else?
Why tech for me? Uh, I think my interest in tech started way when I was very young. Yeah, I got introduced to computers by my father.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I used to. He's an architect. So he bought a computer. I think I was in class 3.
Wow. Pretty young.
Yeah, pretty young. So I used to play those games. You get.
Yeah.
So I got an interest to know how does this thing work. You get.
Yeah.
And then the brick games and all that. I see people playing. And all of across high school, something funny, I didn't do computer in high school.
Mm,
Yeah. So, but I had very huge interest. Yeah.
mm,
And then for me, um, when I saw the age of eBay, Facebook, and all that,
mm-hmm,
I could see the change that you could the the level of change, or the in terms of mass that you can make
mm,
with technology, how you can transform markets, transform mindsets, and all that. Yeah. So, and that's when the journey started. Immediately after finishing high school, I taught myself coding. Yeah, and just started. So, I tried to code games, and then after that went into systems because I started getting some gigs here and there. Yeah,
mm, mm-hmm.
yeah,
Interesting. And it's a story that it has been your love for tech all through. up to
Very,
now.
very.
And I'm really proud of you for how far you've come and the milestones you've achieved. Maybe there's a young buddy outside there who really thinks, you know what, I don't want to get into employment. I want to get into tech. I want to
Mm.
get into this space where we deal with data and the
Yes.
codes that you're
Yes.
talking about. What do you, looking back
Mm.
and reflecting on your own journey
Yes.
with coming in contact with all this data and all this information and just having the ethnical codes and language to just be able to protect, and there's somebody out there who wants to get into your space,
Mm.
what reflection do you give to them? Should they actually join the tech space?
Yes, I would. The tech space has a lot of opportunity, especially now. Um, in terms of data, yeah, it's good for them to join. Um, if to join, I would suggest that they do some work first.
Okay.
Yeah, some work first. Because for me, I just joined after high school, started hustling, tested some money here and there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and stuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even while I was going to uni,
Mm-hmm.
I I had already learned a lot of what I was going to be taught. Yeah,
Because I
you get.
think it's a very technical, it's a very hands-on space.
Yes,
Yeah.
but right now it is easy for them
Mm.
because you can go to ChatGPT, say I want to build this and this
Yeah.
app. Yeah,
Mm.
everything. It even explains to you like a like a beginner,
Mm-hmm.
everything step by step. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's easy for them to go into it. Uh, if they love mathematics, if they love technology,
Mm-hmm.
they would thrive. Yeah, but I would suggest they do some work first
To get the basics and foundation around work and work ethics.
around work and work ethics. Build some networks for as an entrepreneur, because that's
Mm.
we just started,
Yeah.
so we are bootstrapping. We are pushing. You get.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good thing is that we were young, so I was staying with my parents
Yeah.
at that time.
I mean,
Uh,
these are interesting times to just see how the
mm,
evolution is happening, and what technology is doing to us, and the introduction of like, for example, AI, and what that will do to some of the career paths people choose. I mean, and it can only get bigger and better even
yes.
as the future unfolds. Samuel, thank you so much for coming to our podcast today. And I want to applaud you for the high standards that you've set even for your organization. We truly appreciate individuals like you who are set to protect our data and do what is right for that. So your data is being tracked, surveillance, you willingly, knowingly, and unknowingly give out your data. And this is the information that is being used to sometimes even tailor the suggestions that you get on the net. It is not all mysterious, it's a track, and it's important for us to understand what data means and does to us, especially at the workplace. Thank you so much for joining us this week. In our episode, we had Samuel, who has had a candid conversation with us about data surveillance, data protection, data how we all collect data at the workplace and even generally in life. And we look forward to having you in other interesting conversations here at Speak Up Africa, where we aim to inform, engage, and empower. It is Kwaheri for today. See you in our next episode.